We are very, very honoured to be here, and I'm very honoured to introduce to you, to close us out today, the Mayor of Lisbon, Mayor Fernando Medina. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel, for having this meeting here in Lisbon. It's a great honor and a pleasure for us to receive you all here. I would like to thank you also to António Mexia for supporting this meeting here in Lisbon. And I want to begin by giving you a big warm welcome here to the city of Lisbon. It's a great privilege for us to have this meeting here, to have these discussions, mainly because the topic of this meeting is probably one of the most striking and most important and challenging topics of our time. How to provide clean, affordable, and sustainable energy for each human being. And if there is something that I could put in the discussion, this is obviously a question about technology. It's obviously a question about institutional environment. But basically, what we are talking here is about policy issues, policy choices, policy decisions of going in one direction or moving in another direction. My generation is living in a time where the choices that we have in our front are so huge, so big, so different than previous generations, that the main issue is about political decisions. Because 30 years ago, we could not make the same choices. We could not have the same paths. We cannot decide the same way. But now we can. So when we can decide these issues, the question is, what do we do with the power that we have? What we are going to do? And frankly, I would not speak with you frankly if I would not tell you that worldwide the scenario is not very good. Some years ago, the consensus about truths, like Rachel said, was not even so discussed. The vision that we are going to move forward to sustain and to protect our planet was well spreaded. The ways and the voices, the ones that said that is not going to happen, any problems on energy supply, on climate change, they existed, but they were not in power positions. The reality now at national level is not so bright. We have to admit that some voices all over the world, they are not pushing enough for the change of speed that we need on this precious moment of time. But I have to tell you frankly, because on the court of policy, states are not the only voice. I have to say frankly, probably cities are the more important voice. And at the same time that we see at national level the speech is changing in the wrong direction, you see the main cities in the world are moving forward in the good direction. And there is a formal and an informal coalition of cities that is saying present, we are going to tackle with climate change, we are going to tackle with clean energy issues, we are going to tackle with affordability and sustainability of the planet. And if you look carefully, if you look very carefully, if you look for the major cities in the world, if you look to the more dynamic cities in the world, governed by left-wing parties, right-wing majors, everyone, if you see, the vast majority of the big cities in the world are committed with clean energy, sustainable energy, affordable energy, combating climate change, put an affordable and sustainable environment in the world. If you see, look carefully what's happening in the cities. Now, in cities live 50% of the world population. Probably 30 years from now, 70% of all humankind is going to live in cities. So the issue about what we are talking here in this conference, winning or losing the challenge of clean, affordable, sustainable energy for all, is going to be won or lost in cities, inside the cities, in the decisions that policymakers are going to make in the cities. national governments, obviously, but mayors, parliaments, local assemblies, what citizens are going to decide about their future. So, I have an ambition for your stay here. Two ambitions. First, that you know, to get to know Lisbon a little more, that you enjoy Lisbon, that probably some feel in love here in Lisbon about everything that the city has to offer. But I have another ambition, that when you think about Lisbon, you don't think only about an historical, a cultural, a fantastic city. Sorry, I'm mayor, I have to say those things. But I want you to think what we are making here in Lisbon to put this agenda forward. Because when we decide about mobility, we are deciding about public transport and not private cars. We are deciding on electricity and not on fuel. When we decided about what to do with solar, we think that we have the biggest capital with the biggest number of hours of solar energy available, and we are discussing how can we use it, not in a new city, but in an old city that needs to be protected. When we talk about water, we are talking about implementing a system of reutilization of water all over the city for parks, for cleaning streets, for cleaning the environment. When we talk about garbage, we are talking about circular economy. We are talking about making the investments to reduce the consumption of energy, to reduce the waste production, and to save all the energy that we can save in all the process. So my ambition is that when you think about Lisbon, don't think only about a fantastic city, think mainly as a city that is pushing your agenda forward. This is the biggest contribution the city can have and Lisbon have of receiving you as a year. Thank you very much and have a good session. Thank you.